everybody, it is Tuesday morning and I had shot a video about a week ago on my phone explaining some really cool stuff that I've been applying to my life as an entrepreneur, business owner, and found out that the microphone on my camera totally sucks. And so I got this cool lapel mic. Let me jump right into it rather than explain it for half an hour. So anyways, this is all inspired from an incredible book by Carey Nieuwhof, who, if you haven't heard of him, he's amazing. And he just came out with a book probably just like a month ago called At Your Best. And he was a pastor, and so his church grew, which, you know, even if you're not in the church world, if, you know, your organization, if it grows, if your department grows, if your responsibilities grow, you end up hitting an inevitable wall where you can only do so much, and there's only so many hours in a day. And so he experienced burnout as a pastor, as a church leader. So I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that I had learned from the book that I've been applying, like actually applying from the book as opposed to just head knowledge. And it's been really good, and I have struggled to be consistent with it, but I am getting better, and so I wanted to share that with you. So one of the things that Carey talks about in his book is something called, you have to excuse my handwriting, the green zone. So the green zone is the zone in your day that, and these are my words, not his, that you're gonna have the best levels of energy, the best clearness of thought, the best motivation, and because of those things, you load it with your most important and demanding tasks, right? So this is not a time to respond to emails. That is not green zone activity. This is not when you do follow-up calls, or maybe it is, but I would say as an introvert, that's exhausting. But for the sake of argument, that's probably not the space that you're doing that. This is not the space to plan your content calendar, which is funny because that's literally what I'm gonna do in my green zone today, because it's just like really important that I do that right now. Green zone activities that are really important is, like, for example, right now, I'm shooting this video. Why? Because shooting video, making content as someone who is the owner of a business and someone who is trying to make a splash in my social, or my personal brand on social media, is really important that I do that, because my personal brand is me. And so I have to shoot the video, and I don't have the luxury of having Rylan, who's my content producer, shoot video for me all the time. So that's something that I have in my green zone. So it's content production. The reason that is in this is not only just because this is important for my business, because there are a lot of important things in a business. In fact, everything can kind of feel important. Invoicing feels important when it's time to make money and pay people, right? But content production is highly creative and requires a lot of creative output. Because of the fact that it's demanding, it needs to be well thought out, it needs to be super creative, then I believe it requires and deserves the proper amount of attention and energy. And because of that, it goes in my green zone. Another thing that goes in my green zone is time to think. Now, I am a strategy guy. Like, I think a lot about strategy, and I am an Enneagram 5, wing 4, so I'm very creative, but I'm also very analytical. And so when I think of an idea, I'm immediately trying to connect all the dots together, right? I view everything very holistically, meaning that everything is connected. Time to think isn't necessarily strategy. It's giving my time to allow my brain to subconsciously deconstruct and come up with new ideas for my business and for my clients. And I actually think that because of the pace of society and because of the demands on our time, we actually don't give ourselves enough time to think. And I think if we just simply took the time to slow down and just think, allow our minds to wander, allow ourselves to ponder, we would have much better ideas. So outside of just time to think is strategy. So this is the part where, instead of just allowing my mind to wander and allowing my subconscious to come up with fresh new ideas and connections, this is a time that I'm intentionally doing to make sure that my business activities are all in coordination with each other and drive the results that I want. I can only emphasize this so much, that strategy is so important. Most companies, most marketing departments only have step 1 and maybe step 2 figured out, but they usually don't have steps 3 through 5 figured out. And so this is that part, this is that strategy part where you need to spend some time making sure, okay, we put out a video, what do we want to have happen? Oh, we want the customers to do this. Okay, well, what happens after that? What happens after that? What happens after that? Thinking several steps ahead so that your potential customers and your clients have a clear path that they follow on the way to giving you revenue and your business impacting them, right? Because that's the exchange, impact and revenue. So those are some of the things that I do with my green zone. And so when you're thinking about this as a business owner, you're thinking through, okay, like, does this require my best energy and my best ideas? Really, the green zone concept of like your best is also a great way to cut out the things that you don't need to do. It's a great do not list as much as it is a to-do list. And a do not list is just important because what you're essentially doing is eliminating things that require less time and giving your lower energy to the things that require less energy, thereby making your time more effective. So the thing that's important for me to end this clip with is time your strengths, right? This is really a game changer for me. Everyone has between 0 to about 5, if not 4 hours of green zone energy time. So one thing that's been super helpful about the green zone is giving myself slack, especially with that time frame of 0 to 5 hours, right? I was expecting and putting pressure on myself to be on my game and be at 100% the entire day, which after looking at the science that is presented in At Your Best book by Carey Nieuwhof, that's just not realistic at all. Nobody can give 100% all day long. And so for me, it was very freeing to realize that I only have up to about 5 hours of really, really, really good energy, and the rest is like decent energy. And that is okay. And the reason it's okay is because you're arranging your time in a way that allows you to do your best work on the most important things that require that best energy. So then you're still highly productive, highly efficient, and using your time wisely in a way that is not going to leave you just dead at the end of the day. And I know that as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, it can feel like there's a never-ending to-do list, but the reality is you're never going to get to the bottom of that list. And so in the meantime, instead of killing yourself with this illusion that somehow you're going to get everything done, simply arrange your time in the way that actually works with your body chemistry and real energy levels. We're human beings, we're not machines. And so we can't act like we're machines. And when we do, our bodies, our health, our mental health, our relationships fail. And so I think this is really key to taking a first step in arranging a time that makes sense. Has been hugely impactful on me. Like I said, not been perfect, but it has helped give me mental freedom to be able to arrange my day in the way that, like, you know what, after 1 o'clock, 100% effort is gone. We're at like 70% maybe, and arranging my time accordingly. And I found myself to be just as effective, if not more effective, and way less stressed out. And so I highly recommend it. So I had a really interesting meeting with a potential client today that I wanted to share with you guys some perspectives that I was able to pull from it. So we had sat down, and he originally had talked about doing social media. And so his business is pest control, and he's been in business for over 10 years. And so we ended up sitting down. I'm like, hey, you know, like, what are you really planning on getting out of social media? And he's like, well, like, nothing really. I'm like, okay. So we ended up continuing to talk a little bit longer, and he begins to share with me this thing that, you know, there's over 1,000 pest control businesses here in Arizona that we're at. And I was like, here's the thing, dude. I'm like, you've been in business for over 10 years. You have something that all these newer companies wish they had, which is a list of happy customers. So social media, while it's well and good, you're playing the hard game of building that list, but you already have the list. And so why not leverage that instead? So I pushed him away from social media where he could do a lot more with like new clients. And instead we're pushing him into more of past clients because they've already done business with him. They already like him. They have already experienced his service. And so there's very little selling that has to be done. All he's doing is really upselling services that he's doing. He is reinvigorating some old relationships and old clients who have been, you know, years past. But to me, I know that that is so much easier than trying to convince someone new to go with you. So yeah, something to think about, something I want to share with you guys is when you think about your business, think about what your easiest sales are going to be, your low-hanging fruit. And for those of you who have been in business for a while, you have a great list of people which you can pull information from and begin marketing to. If you're a newer business, yes, you're gonna have to do the hard work of building up your organic reach and possibly doing some ads as well, and really building up the list that will get you to a place where in a year from now, 5 years from now, you have a huge list of past clients that you can then continue to churn and maintain relationships with, continue that revenue flow.